The USS Valor drifted silently through the void, its massive hull reflecting the faint glow of a distant nebula. Captain Adrian Locke stood on the bridge, his eyes locked on the swirling anomaly ahead, a distortion in space that pulsed with an eerie blue light. "This wasn't here before," Commander Liesvaughn murmured beside him. Her brow furrowed as she analyzed the readings on her console. "Confirmed," Lieutenant Harris added. "We scanned this sector a week ago. There was no sign of this rift. But now, it's growing." Adrian exhaled, feeling the weight of command pressing against his chest. They had been dispatched to investigate the disappearance of the USS Hyperion, a colony transport that had vanished without a trace nearly 2 centuries ago. And now, an unexplained tear in space, appearing the exact coordinates of the Hyperion's last known transmission. "What do we know?" Adrian asked, gripping the armrest of his captain's chair. Harris's fingers danced across the console. Preliminary scans suggested some form of temporal disturbance. Chronodin levels are off the charts. Whatever this thing is, it's messing with time. Adrian glanced at Elise, whose expression had darkened. "You think the Hyperion went through that?" She hesitated. "If this rift has been here, hidden, dormant, then maybe it's possible the Hyperion was pulled in. If so, we might be looking at a doorway through time." A cold shiver ran down Adrian's spine. If they were right, the implications were staggering. "Captain, we're detecting something inside," Harris said suddenly, his voice tense. "Define something." Harris's screen flickered with data. Metallic structures. Faint energy signatures. "It's faint, but it looks like a fleet. An entire fleet inside the anomaly." Adrian shot Elise a glance. "Is it ours?" "Unknown," Harris replied. "But there's one signature we do recognize. It's a Hyperion. It's still intact." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. 200 years lost," Elise whispered. "And it's still there?" Adrian's pulse quickened. They had expected wreckage, debris, proof of a tragic end. But if the Hyperion was intact, if there was even a chance that its crew was still alive, "Prep the Valor for entry," he ordered. "We're going in." The ship trembled as its thrusters engaged, pulling them toward the anomaly's event horizon. The blue light intensified, consuming the ship in a flash of brilliance. And then, the stars changed. The Valor emerged into an alien sky. A shattered moon loomed overhead, its broken remains suspended in orbit. Derelict warships, covered in centuries of decay, drifted lifelessly around them. And in the distance, standing against the void like a specter from the past, was a Hyperion. "My God!" Elise breathed. "What happened here?" Before Adrian could answer, the ship's alarms blared. "Incoming hostiles." Harris shouted. "Multiple contacts. Closing fast." On the main screen, dark silhouettes appeared, sleek, predatory ships with unfamiliar markings. The Hyperion had survived, but they weren't alone. And now, neither was the Valor. The USS Valor's hull groaned as it stabilized in the alien sky, its thrusters adjusting to the gravitational anomalies of this unknown region. Captain Adrian Locke tightened his grip on the command console as his bridge crew scrambled to process their new surroundings. The wreckage of derelict warships floated like lifeless sentinels, whispering stories of an ancient battle fought in the void. "Report." Adrian barked, his voice cutting through the rising tension. Lieutenant Harris's fingers danced over his console. "Our systems are holding, but sensors are erratic. Chronometric interference is fluctuating. This entire region is drenched in temporal distortion. And, sir, those unknown contacts are closing in. Fast." On the main screen, the dark silhouettes of alien warships prowled the horizon, their sleek designs and pulsing energy cores unlike anything humanity had encountered. They weren't just observing. Their trajectory was aggressive. "Shields up, battle stations." Adrian commanded. A klaxon blared through the ship as the crew leaped into action. The Valor's exterior plating hummed as energy shields engaged, casting a faint, shimmering glow around the warship. Weapon systems powered up, rail cannons aligning with the incoming threats. "Incoming transmission," Harris shouted. Unknown language deciphering now. The main screen flickered, displaying a figure clad in obsidian armor, its face concealed behind a helmet adorned with eerie, glowing etchings. A moment later, a translation filter activated, distorting the voice into something barely comprehensible. "You should not be here." Adrian straightened. "This is Captain Adrian Locke of the USS Valor. We are on a mission of discovery. Identify yourself." The alien figure remained silent for a beat, then tilted its head slightly. "You travel through the wound of time. The lost ones are no longer yours to reclaim. Turn back or share their fate." A cold chill ran down Adrian's spine. "The Hyperion? Do you have its crew?" "They are beyond your reach, beyond salvation." Before Adrian could respond, the transmission cut out. A split second later, the alien warships accelerated, their locking weapons. Harris shouted, "Evasive maneuvers! Fire at will!" Adrian commanded. The first barrage struck hard. The Valor shuddered as crimson energy blasts impacted the shields, sending tremors through the deck. The ship's rail cannons roared in response, spitting tungsten slugs at near-relativistic speeds. One enemy vessel took a direct hit to its propulsion core, erupting in a blinding explosion. "One down," Elise called out. "But more are flanking from port side." Adrian clenched his jaw. "Bring us about. Get us closer to the Hyperion. We need to know what's going on over there." The Valor surged forward, weaving through debris as enemy fire rained around them. The Hyperion loomed ahead, its hull intact but eerily silent. No distress beacons. No signs of life. Just a ghostly relic adrift in time. We're within docking range. Harris confirmed. "Prepare an away team," Adrian ordered. "We're going aboard." As the Valor's docking clamps engaged with the Hyperion, a final explosion from the battle illuminated the sky. But something else caught Adrian's attention. A faint signal, deep within the Hyperion's core. A heartbeat. Someone was still alive. The docking clamp sealed with metallic hiss, securing the USS Valor to the Hyperion's ghostly hull. A thin mist drifted through the airlock as Captain Adrian Locke fastened his helmet, his team forming up behind him. Each step they took into the derelict vessel felt like stepping to the veil of time itself. "Scanners online?" Adrian asked, gripping his pulse rifle tightly. Lieutenant Harris checked his wrist monitor. "Minimal power signatures. Life support is barely functional, but there's breathable air. That heartbeat reading we detected, it's coming from deep within the command deck." Commander Elise Voss adjusted her grip on her sidearm. If there's still someone alive after all this time, they might not be human anymore. Adrian nodded. "Stay alert." As they advanced through the dimly lit corridors, the ship's walls bore scars of past battles. Carbon scoring, ruptured bulkheads, and ominous slashes that looked too precise to be accidental. The Hyperion had been through hell. The silence was deafening. A sudden flicker in the emergency lighting cast long, shifting shadows along the corridor. Then a sound, soft, rhythmic, like breathing. Adrian signaled for the team to stop, their weapons raised. The sound was coming from a shattered doorway up ahead. Harris whispered, "That's where the signal is strongest." Adrian stepped forward, bracing himself as he pushed through the wrecked door. Inside, the remains of the Hyperion's bridge stretched before them, eerily preserved. Control panels flickered erratically, and a single figure sat slumped over the captain's chair, encased in a strange exosuit. The helmet visor was opaque, unreadable. Elise took a cautious step forward. "Captain of the Hyperion, do you read me?" The figure twitched. Then it moved. With a slow, mechanical grace, the figure straightened, its visor shifting from opaque to translucent. Behind it was a human face, gaunt, with eyes that glowed faintly blue. A voice, layered with distortion, whispered through the ship's intercom. "You shouldn't have come." Adrian raised his rifle. "Identify yourself. Are you the Hyperion's captain?" The figure exhaled sharply. "I was. But time has changed everything." A crackling distortion pulsed through the bridge as the ship's system surged to life. Holographic displays flickered, revealing a series of recorded logs. The most recent one autoplayed. A voice, the same as the man before them but younger, uncorrupted. spoke through the speakers. Final log of Captain Dorian Rain, USS Hyperion. If anyone finds this, turn back. The anomaly, the war, it doesn't just consume matter. It rewrites existence itself. We tried to resist, but we became something else. Something other. If you hear this, you are already too late. The cycle begins again. A sudden, violent jolt rocked the ship. A deep, resonating hum filled the air, sending waves of pressure through the Valor's team. Harris stumbled, clutching his helmet. "Sir, we got a problem. Chronometric energy surge building. Something's." The ship shifted. The walls flickered, phasing between states. Pristine 1 second, ruined the next, then something alien. The air grew thick with an electric charge, and a shadowy presence slithered along the edges of reality itself. The former Captain Rain looked up at Adrian, desperation in his glowing eyes. "Run, before they see you." Then the darkness came alive. Captain Adrian Locke barely had time to process the warning before the world around him twisted. One moment, he stood on the Hyperion's bridge, staring into the terrified eyes of its former captain. The next he was falling, shifting, through a vortex of flashing lights and distorted echoes of voices not his own. Then, silence. Adrian gasped as his boots hit solid ground, but it wasn't the Hyperion's bridge anymore. It was something else. Something wrong. The air was thick with an unnatural stillness. The walls pulsed as though the ship itself was alive, its metal flesh quivering. The familiar blinking lights of control panels were replaced by symbols that defied comprehension, shifting and rearranging in ways that hurt to look at. The colors of reality seemed off. Deep hues of violet and crimson bled into each other, twisting the edges of everything. His comm crackled. "Adrian, do you copy?" It was Elisa's voice, panicked and strained. "I'm here," Adrian said, steadying himself. "Where are you?" I don't know. Harris is gone." 1 second. We were on the bridge, and then the ship, it changed. "I can hear voices." Adrian. "Whispers inside my head." Adrian clenched his jaw. He had been in combat zones, seen things that would haunt a lesser man for a lifetime, but this was something else entirely. "Stay put," he ordered. "I'll find you." He moved forward, careful with each step. The gravity here felt unstable, shifting ever so slightly as he walked. The corridors were no longer the wreckage of an ancient warship. They were something new, something born from whatever force had rewritten this place. A flickering shape appeared in his peripheral vision. A figure, standing at the edge of the shifting light. "Who's there?" Adrian raised his rifle, heart pounding. The figure stepped closer, its form barely human. It wore a tattered USS Hyperion uniform, but its body shimmered like an incomplete hologram. Its face was a blur of distorted features, but when it spoke, the voice was hauntingly familiar. "Adrian, it's me. Harris." Adrian's grip tightened on his weapon. "That's impossible. You disappeared." The thing that claimed to be Harris twitched, its form flickering in and out of existence. "I didn't disappear. I was taken, pulled into the ship. It's alive, Adrian, and it's rewriting us." Adrian's stomach twisted. "Where's Elise?" The not Harris cocked its head, its features flickering between anguish and something unreadable. "She doesn't have much time. The ship is choosing, deciding who stays and who changes. If you don't find her soon, she won't be Elise anymore." Adrian took a step forward, but the ground shifted beneath him again. The ship wasn't just changing, it was evolving. A deep, guttural sound rumbled through the corridors. Not words, not a language, but something more primal. The ship was aware of them now, watching, deciding. Adrian turned back to Harris, or whatever was left of him. "Tell me how to stop this." Harris's form began to disintegrate, his features breaking apart like static on a failing transmission. His last words were barely audible. "You have to break the loop before it breaks you." Then he was gone. Adrian didn't hesitate. He ran. Elisa's screams echoed through the warped halls. He followed the sound, dodging shadows that moved in unnatural ways, walls that pulsed like living organs. He had to get to her before it was too late. As he turned the final corridor, he saw her. She was kneeling on the floor, gripping her head, whispering to herself. Symbols glowed beneath her fingertips, spreading across her skin like veins of liquid light. Adrian reached for her. "Elise, look at me." Her eyes snapped open, and for a brief moment, she was herself. "Adrian, I can hear them. I can see everything." Then the ship roared and reality shattered. Adrian Locke barely had time to react as the ship around him fractured. One moment, he was reaching for Elise, her glowing veins pulsing with alien energy. The next, the world ripped apart like a cracked mirror, shards of time and space suspended in an impossible dance. The air itself seemed to hum, vibrating with an intelligence that was neither human nor machine. Then silence. Adrian found himself standing in what appeared to be the true core of the Hyperion. Unlike the chaotic, shifting corridors he'd been running through, this place was eerily still. The walls were no longer organic but smooth, polished metal, pulsing faintly with an unseen energy source. In the center of the chamber stood Elise, except it wasn't entirely her anymore. Her eyes glowed with the same unnatural light as the ship, her hands trembling as she clutched the air as though grasping at invisible threads. "Adrian." Her voice was barely a whisper, layered with something else. Something not human. He approached slowly, his heart hammering. "Elise, listen to me. You have to fight this. The ship, it's rewriting you. It's rewriting us all." She shook her head. "It's not rewriting me, Adrian. It's showing me the past, the future, everything. The Hyperion isn't just a warship. It's a machine trapped outside of time. And we're inside it. We have to make a choice." Adrian swallowed. "What choice?" Elise turned, and as she did, the chamber shifted around them. Suddenly, Adrian was no longer standing in the metallic core of the Hyperion, but on the deck of the ship. Before it was lost, the crew bustled around him, unaware of his presence. The original captain of the Hyperion stood at the helm, shouting orders as the ship prepared for a mission it would never return from. Elise's voice echoed through the vision. The Hyperion was sent on a deep space mission decades ago, but something went wrong. It encountered an anomaly, something not of this universe. Instead of destroying the ship, it absorbed it into a temporal fracture. Every second, the Hyperion has been reliving its final moments over and over again. A loop, Adrian. And now it's found us. Adrian exhaled sharply. "Then we have to break the loop. We have to find a way to stop this." Elise nodded slowly. "There is a way, but it comes at a cost." The vision ripped away, and they were back in the core. The ship trembled, sensing their defiance. The walls pulsed, the colors shifting into something dark, something hungry. Elise stepped forward, placing a hand against a glowing console that pulsed in response. "There's only one way to end this, Adrian. We have to destroy the ship. Completely. If we don't, it will keep pulling in more ships, more crews, more lives. We have to sever its connection to the anomaly." Adrian clenched his fists. "And how do we do that?" She turned, her expression somber. "One of us has to stay behind and activate the core's failsafe. The other takes an escape pod and makes it out before the ship collapses." Adrian froze. "No, absolutely not. We both get out of here. There has to be another way." But Elise shook her head, smiling sadly. "There isn't. The Hyperion chose me, Adrian. It connected to me. I can feel in my bones. It's rewriting me, but I can still fight it long enough to finish this. You have to go. You have to tell the world what happened here." Adrian's mind raced. He had lost too many people in his life. He wasn't about to lose Elise too. But before he could argue, the ship screamed. A pulse of energy surged through the walls, sending him to his knees. Elise gasped, her form flickering like a hologram losing stability. "It's waking up," she cried. "Adrian, go!" He looked at her, at the woman he had fought beside, survived beside. Leaving her behind was unthinkable, but if he didn't, no one would escape. With a ragged breath, he made the hardest decision of his life. He ran. The ship convulsed as he sprinted through the corridors, alarms blaring as reality itself seemed to fray at the edges. He barely made it to the escape pod bay, throwing himself inside as the doors sealed shut. The moment the thrusters ignited, he saw it. The Hyperion, trembling as cracks of blue energy surged through its hull. And then, in a final, blinding explosion of light, it was gone. Adrian's pod drifted in the silence of deep space. Alone, he didn't know how long he sat there, staring at the empty void where the Hyperion had been. His mind replayed those last moments over and over again. The image of Elise standing at the ship's core, accepting her fate. Then his calm crackled. At first, he thought it was a malfunction. But then, a voice. Faint, distorted, but unmistakable. Adrian. His breath caught in his throat. Elise. A pause. Then, barely above a whisper. Time isn't done with us yet. The transmission cut out. Adrian's hands trembled as he stared into the vast emptiness of space. The Hyperion was gone, but the story wasn't over.